We are back. Okay, we are back. Devin?
If you have comments, sir, if you could just state your name and your hamlet for the record, and you'll have
John,
5
you're
minutes.
back. How
John
you doing?
McAuliffe from Rolling Woods. I guess it's the hamlet I've never understood. Is Riverhead also a hamlet? And if I live in Rolling Woods, am I part of Riverhead Hamlet as well as Riverhead Town? What is the structure of how,
I think we
anyway,
call it Riverhead proper.
anyway, that's where we
Yeah.
live. I wanted to come back to the resolution that was discussed about the appropriation of funds.
Yeah.
And I think it does illustrate the fact that there ought to be, I agree with the idea to table this resolution and hope that the board could create a process, a public process in which evaluation is made and justified as to why funds like this are distributed in a certain fashion. The aquarium is a wonderful place. Our kids at that age loved it. I'm sure all of the projects are worthy, but I think in the situation in Riverhead right now, the needs of people to have food may take priority over almost everything else, and I hope that the board will publicly discuss that and evaluate priorities.
Thanks, John. Have a good day. Anyone else want to come forward concerning resolutions? Okay. So, Diane, you want to go into the minutes?
Sure. We do have minutes from July 1st, from the special town board meeting, and July 7th was our regular town board.
Okay, so we want to approve them?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, take a vote.
Okay, Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
All right, so we're going to move forward to resolutions. Diane, can you please call the resolutions?
Certainly.
So she's going to call it.
Okay. Resolution 509.
Approve special event chapter 255, application for Chicken Kids consignment event. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please. Vote, please.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 510.
Approve special event, Chapter 255, application for Long Island Garlic Festival. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrod.
I'd just like to stop and say that we were just at Eve Kaplan's place for a great announcement. The county executive announced that over $100 million are going to be used from the county to try to preserve the last remaining 10,000 acres of farmland that is still developable. And so I'm really proud to say that that's a great initiative, and I want to thank Eve for hosting, but yes, to the 255 application.
Kent.
And I want to piggyback on that. I was there with Frank today. It was really very exciting that the county they were at Eve's Farm, and the county is putting aside money to preserve farmland in Riverhead, because let's face it, it's the farmland that makes us want to live here. We're surrounded by beautiful farms, and we reap the benefits of their amazing produce. So I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 511.
Approves a special event, Chapter 255, application for Us by Us.
So before the vote, Supervisor, I think you wanted to add something as amended.
Yes, I do. I want to suggest to amend this resolution to waive the fees for Gwen Mack. I know she had called and reached out to our office. Does the board agree to amend this resolution?
Yes, I do.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have to take a vote on the actual amendment, right, and then the resolution. Correct, Bob?
Are you waiving all fees or late fees? Because the resolution states that you're waiving the late fees.
Yes, that's what we're waiving, the late
So,
fees.
so it already says that. Right. So just for clarification.
So it's in here.
It's already in there.
Okay.
The late fees have been waived by this resolution, so there's no need to amend it.
You just have to
Is
apply.
that what you're asking for, just a waiver of the late fees?
Yes.
Then the
Okay.
resolution as it's drafted is fine.
Okay,
so
then,
we're
so
gonna-
moved.
Perfect.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 512.
Appoints Adria Hill to Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 513.
Appoints Paul Furback to Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 514.
Appoints Alice Scully, Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 515.
Plant 5 Wellhead, PFOA Removal Project Number 82050. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 516.
Norfolk Developers Capital Water Project Number 82113. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 517.
Authorizes the removal of fixed assets. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 518.
Authorizes the removal of fixed assets. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 519.
Authorizes the removal of fixed assets. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 520.
Adopts local law to amend Chapter 289, parking by permit at Forge Road, AKA Dam Road. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
On this one, I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out and make one correction of record. I must have been using an outdated Part 2, Type 2 list. So in the third whereas, when it refers to Part 6, 17, 5C, 20, and 27,
Okay.
20 should be 26, and 27 should be 30, based
So we-
upon the updated Type 2 action list,
So we're going to amend this resolution?
to reflect those changes,
So we need
yes.
the board to agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to amend the resolution?
Second.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution as amended is adopted. Resolution 521.
Ratifies the appointment of a Justice Clerk Director. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 522.
Ratifies the appointment of a code enforcement officer, Spanish speaking. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Hold on a minute, this was going to have, do we have the provision of the hours on here?
7-day.
5 days.
Hours to be determined by the
5
office of
days
the
of a
supervisor.
7-day.
Okay, perfect.
It said
your
non-standard
Yeah, but
hours.
initially, they're going to start there, and Bob, we talked about this, if we need to move them around for enforcement purposes, we're going to do that, so yes, absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 523.
Acceptance of funding for the CBDG 2019 COVID CARES Act Round 3. We are going to, is this the one we're tabling?
Yes.
Catherine?
Catherine, did you want to table that one?
Yeah, and
I'll
I
second
did
the motion
call
to
to, I
table.
have a question, I do have a question about it too, Bob. Do I ask the question before or after I table it? I think there's something wrong in it.
Well, if
Well,
it's
we're
going to be
gonna table
tabled, we'll
and
fix
then-
it.
and we'll take care of what has to take
That
care.
sounds right,
If we think there's
okay.
something wrong,
I called to
why don't-
table.
Why don't
Well,
we
we
table it
just
for that
table
reason
it.
as well?
Let's
Yeah.
do that, I'm fine with that. Call to table.
I'll second it.
Good, okay.
Rothwell,
Yes, to table.
Bayrod,
Yes to table.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution 523 is tabled. Resolution 524.
Ratifies the authorization of submission of a competitive grant, and if approved, authorizes the supervisor to sign grant contract award. So moved.
certainly I know that we were looking to get body cameras. I think it's a good idea. And we did start this conversation, but we never finished this as a public discussion. And this is a sizable investment from the CARES Act. So I think we should continue this discussion. I don't know that we finished talking to the police chief about it. And also, we weren't even aware yet as to whether the officers were willing to wear them or whether they were going to be paid to wear them. There were a lot of things to work out. So I was surprised to see this in already, so.
Well,
That's my question about this.
Okay, and Catherine, I understand your question, but this is a grant. That means that we're putting in for money. So we
Yes.
don't have it, it's not coming from our taxpayers, we might not get it.
It's just an application.
Yeah.
It's an application
It's
for
an
funds. If
application.
we don't get it,
If we
no
don't
point
get it,
discussing,
and
but-
I understand your concerns, and I have spoken to the chief in length on this, and we can definitely have a discussion with, between us, how we're gonna move forward. As far as salaries are concerned, most PBAs require 3% across the nation, and that's like usually the standard. And we can discuss this definitely further, but we want to put this application in. There's the time stamp on it, we want to move forward with it, and we'll definitely have a conversation, Catherine. So I'm gonna, make sure that we vote on this and see where the,
It's an application for funds.
all it is.
We certainly have time to discuss it at further length and have discussions with the police chief and representatives of perhaps the police department, the PBA, on their feelings on it, but it shouldn't slow up the process of simply beginning to explore if funds are even available to pursue it in the future. If the grant is not issued and funds are not available,
But this is a match. I believe this is a match out of
Mhm.
the, some of the money, out of the money that we were receiving for COVID.
right, and we don't have to accept we don't have to accept the application if we get approved. So
I mean, I'm not
we're
against the
gonna go-
cameras, I just think that these are the kind of things that should be discussed publicly.
Sure.
And I don't know that we had all the information. I don't know that the chief, we did not finish having the discussion with you, correct?
Yeah, and technology does change, and this may come in 6 months from now, cameras may change. We're in the middle of getting prices for the storage of the information. I know that I think it's the captain that's charged with looking at this at Body, so we are in the middle of doing the research, Catherine, and as soon as they finish, definitely have a discussion on it. But that should not stop us from putting in money for a grant.
This is just asking the
This is
CDA to submit the application.
Yes.
it's not an agreement
Yeah, this
to
is
wear
not-
cameras, it's to explore financial opportunities through grants.
And I do understand what it is, but I do think that this was, we didn't finish this discussion. So,
Okay.
that's all.
All right, want to vote? Go forward?
I need a second, Frank, I think.
Second.
Yes, Frank.
Thank you.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Once again, I recommend that we have further discussions on these, but I am in favor of the cameras. I will vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 525,
Ratifies agreement for HGTV episode at Wading River Beach, beachfront bargain hunt renovation. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent.
Bob, I had one question on this, actually.
Yeah.
We, as you know, we only have 30-day rentals in here. And this show, normally, this is a show where they're renting their places out for the weekend. Is there something in here, or do we have something about that? Do we have some sort of agreement, or are you knowledgeable as to whether they are going to try to do a weekend rental, or whether they are, because we only allow 30-day rentals in Riverhead?
This had nothing to do with the rental of premises. This was just with respect to doing a film shoot. They were looking to utilize 4 stalls.
No, I know that, but
So
eventually.
I don't know what the program does. I have never watched it in my life. I probably never will watch it in my life, so I have
Busy working.
I have no idea
Yeah, right.
what they're looking to do.
They
Again,
move all around,
I
all
dealt
around
with
the
it, I
nation.
dealt with it just from the narrow scope of what they were asking for as far as a filming authorization.
And they
So
usually come
so I
in-
don't know the answer.
Okay, well, I did, used to watch that before I got this job. Now I'm pretty busy. But they do tend to rent things out for the weekend. So I just think that's something we ought to find out about or pay attention to, because we only have
As I
30-day
said, I'll
rentals.
gladly give up
But anyway,
film.
we did work out the
I'll gladly give up
details.
film applications.
I
I'll
vote
gladly
yes.
give them to somebody else.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 526.
526. Oh, that's
Adopts a local law to update Community Preservation Fund project plans. So moved.
seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes, and I'm very proud of the Open Space Committee and all the work that went behind this, so thank you, and yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 527.
Scavenger Waste District budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 528.
Department of Land Management budget adjustment. So moved.
Oh, seconded.
Vote, please.
We had gone flawlessly until then.
Yeah, I know, right?
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 529.
Establishes standard workday for an appointed official, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 530.
Promotion to Maintenance Mechanic 4. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 531.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 217 entitled Building Permit and Fees of the Riverhead Town Code. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Just 1 second. Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 532.
Authorizes publishing and posting of a notice of public hearing to consider revisions to Chapter 263 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Rental Dwelling Units. So moved.
Seconded.
And I call to question here. I want to have a little discussion here. Just asking for a little clarification on this resolution. I know this is a public notice, but I'm trying to understand something. I'm looking, Ken, I know you worked on this. What I'm looking for, what is the definition in here? It mentions a traditional family. Can you clarify for me what you mean by a traditional family?
We'll let our attorney who drafted the resolution to explain it, Bob.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying to
think
find it.
you're adopting the state definition.
Yeah, it was specific.
I
I'm just going to find it.
didn't work on this one, but I'm going to see if I can find that definition for you. I think it'll be easier if I read it.
Sure.
Okay. It's adding a subsection E.
Can you speak up a little, Bob? Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Absolutely. It is adding a subsection E, which is going to indicate that it will be unlawful for anyone to permit the rental where it's not in conformance with this chapter's definition of family or functional equivalent. In determining whether individuals are living together as a functional equivalent as a traditional family, the following presumptive evidence criteria must be present. The group is one which in structure and function resembles a traditional family unit, semicolon, and the occupants must share the entire single or one-family dwelling unit and live and cook together as a single housekeeping unit, a unit in which the various occupants act as separate roomers may not be deemed to be occupied by the functional equivalent of a traditional family, semicolon, and the adult occupants shall share expenses for food, rent, ownership costs, utilities, and other household expenses, semicolon, and the occupancy is permanent and stable, period. Presumptive evidence of such permanence and stability includes, comma, but is not limited to, colon, the presence of minor children regularly residing in the household who are enrolled in local schools, semicolon, members of the household have the same address for purposes of voter registration, comma, driver's licenses, comma, motor vehicle registration, comma, filing of taxes and delivery of mail, semicolon. Members of the household are employed in the area, semicolon. The household has been living together as a unit for a year or more, whether in current dwelling unit or in other dwelling unit, semicolon. Common ownership of furniture and appliances among the members of the household, semicolon, and any other function reasonably related to whether or not the occupants are the functional equivalent of a family. And then it adds a subsection F. All the foregoing may be rebutted by evidence presented to the code enforcement official or any court of competent jurisdiction.
That's very thorough.
Those are
Okay,
the things,
Good job,
but I
Bob.
don't think,
Yeah, I'm
but I
very
don't-
happy that you don't remember that when you got called up, that you had to remember that.
It's
So,
very specific.
It's very specific.
But I
so,
don't think
right.
that, but I still don't think that refers to the definition of traditional family. Those are things that are expected, but, okay.
Okay, so let's move on. Again, thank you for not remembering that, because you would scare me. You don't belong here, you belong in Nassau if you had that kind of memory.
Okay, we're up to the vote part.
We're up to the vote.
Yeah, Rothwell.
Yes.
A-Rod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes,
Aguirre.
Yes, another code improvement.
We're making headway.
We're making a lot of headways the last few months. Thank you.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 533.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a retainer agreement with Lamb and Barnowski LLP. So moved.
seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
A-Rod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 534.
Pay the bills?
Pays the bills.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
A-Rod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
And I have a resolution, now that we're done with resolutions, that I would like to bring off the floor. We did have a discussion about reinstating the Zoom. I know that that's something that our community wants to see. They've spoken up loud and clear about that. I think the Zoom, we are in agreement. Even you mentioned it earlier, the Zoom is a great option for people, especially with, as our numbers are going up from the Delta variant. I think it's important for people to be able to Zoom in. I'm glad that we are having in-person meetings, but I do think it's very important to have the Zoom option. It was stated at an earlier time that we were getting rid of Zoom because there was some sort of meeting, which seems to violate the open meetings law, some sort of meeting that I wasn't present at that occurred in the hallway. So I think it's important, I have a resolution to bring off the floor. I have a copy for each of my council mates.
Okay, so when a resolution is
And
written.
I have copies for the press.
Okay, when a resolution is written, you're supposed to go to the town attorney, and you have to have 3 board members before one is written. So that was not in accordance with our, as a board, as a council, we work together. And so that wasn't completed. And in addition to that, this is an administrative decision. It's something that the supervisor and the town board decides, and we have spoken about it. We've made statements earlier. And so this resolution, and Bob, you can speak to that, that you need three individuals in order to have a resolution put forward. And Catherine, you chose on your own, to do that. I did email you twice yesterday to discuss this further. And finally, I called you later on in the morning just to have a discussion, and you really said to me, I'm not going to speak about this until I speak at the town board. We should always have discussions so we can be in unity. We work together. We're supposed to work cohesively. And there is no violations of open meetings law. Again, that is something that is being claimed right now. And it's already been determined that there is nothing concerning Zoom in open meetings law. Attorneys have been advised. And Bob, can you please add to this?
So
I said
no,
that, Bob.
well, I just wanted to,
Let's just
I
let
just
Bob.
wanted to react to
I
something.
I didn't finish. I'm running the meeting, and we're going
Well,
to try to make
I'm
it
just
nice and
going to
good.
make a quick statement, I
Okay,
promise.
so-
If you just give me 1 minute, I understand you want to move on to Bob. I understand that, Yvette. Just one thing. I think that, I don't believe, Bob can let us know, I don't believe there's actually something in there about the 3 people. We discussed it, but I don't believe that that is specifically in our code. And also, what I stated this morning when you asked to meet with me or to have the discussion with me, I said this should be a public discussion. This involves the public, and let's discuss it. I'll bring it up and we're going to discuss it. So that's actually what I said. It
Well,
wasn't that I didn't want to
We can
discuss
come
it.
to an agreement if we discussed it, but you chose not to do that. Bob, can you please relate to this concerning open meetings law and the
Well-
claim by the councilwoman claiming that she feels that this is in violation of open meetings law?
I'm not sure what the violation is, so I'm, without facts and, you know, without a factual presentation to me, I'm unable to render an opinion whether there's been a violation of open meetings law. As I've said to this board before, in order for open meetings law to apply, you have to be considered a body that's subject to open meetings law, and you have to have a meeting. And I've provided memorandums to the board in the past as to what constitutes a meeting and what boards are subject to open meetings law. Advisory boards are not. Turning to the question of how a resolution gets done, this has been sort of a issue for more years than I care to acknowledge, because it's happened often that we are called upon to prepare resolutions by certain town board members from time to time. And I'm going to say what I've told all my colleagues who are my fellow town attorneys. I work for a town board. You're all my clients, so I can't tell any one of you, no, I will not do a resolution. I've suggested that sometimes if you really feel strongly about it, you can have the town board coordinator drafted, since you do have a staff person, so that I don't get stuck in the middle of the town board. But by all means, if I'm asked to do a resolution, and my office will do it. As far as our procedure on resolutions, and I think this is the point that I kind of want to get to, we adopted, as I started to allude to earlier with Councilman Bayrock, we did adopt rules and procedures going back to 2013. They were amended in 2013, updated in 2019. And the procedure on resolutions, for the most part, has been pretty much the same. The important paragraph says that with respect to this particular resolution is that any resolution can be introduced by any town board member at a scheduled meeting of the town board, shall be filed, let me rephrase it because I think I messed it up. Any resolution to be introduced by any town board member at a scheduled meeting of the town board shall be filed in the office of the town clerk by 4 p.m. on the business day prior to said town board meeting. So there is a process by which a late submission can be done. And again, if I'm asked to do a resolution, with all due respect to each and every one of the town board members, when one town board member asks me to do it, I'm going to do it. And if that's considered to be a little snide, and I don't know how else to phrase it. It's not as if it's coming off the floor because there's a separate paragraph that deals with that, which says that upon the affirmative vote of the 5 members, unanimous of the town board, new items may be added to the agenda during any regular or special town board meeting. So that would be the coming off the floor scenario. So if this is submitted prior to 4 p.m., it would fall under that paragraph 2 under Rule 11 of the adopted rules, which is entitled Procedure on Resolutions. So with all due respect, I think a council person can introduce the resolution. Whether she has a second or not is another question. It was, I believe, prepared before 4 p.m. yesterday, I believe.
Thank you, Bob, that's correct. So I'm going to read the resolution and ask to bring it off the table. Adopts a policy to allow for the continued use of Zoom video conferencing for town board meetings. And I'm trying to bring this off the floor. I want to see if I have a second.
Do we have a second to this resolution? Okay, we don't have a second. Resolution not brought off the floor. Okay, so I'll walk you out. So I'm gonna thank you, everyone, and we're gonna move on to, this concludes all our resolutions, and we're gonna move on to public comments from anyone.
Supervisor, just before we get into public comments, I think our supervisor of the day's time is up because it's 3:30.
Yep, I'm gonna walk her out.
Great.
And then we're gonna open this up for open comments, and,
But she did an awesome job.
Yes,
she
she
did.
did.
And I would like to give her a certificate of appreciation for working with us. And Adriana, this is for you. This is from the Office of the Supervisor for all your effort. And now, I'm sure your mom got one, right?
I'm sure
How
she
many
did.
years ago was it? When she was
She
here?
was 9 years old, so.
How old was she? You were born during her year.
I was, yes.
Yeah, so you're bringing one home now again, okay? And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And on behalf of
Congratulations,
myself
awesome job today.
and the whole town board, everyone, thank you. And I'm
Well
gonna
done.
walk her out. And Devin, can you come up front for open comments?
Can I come up?
Yep. And we're gonna walk.
Did she get a picture with
did.
everybody?
We did pay
We
bills.
did pay the
We paid
bills.
the
Supervisor,
I second it.
she want a picture with everybody before she leaves?
Oh, yeah, come on, sure, thank you. We'll take a picture with everyone. Come on.
No, it's done. Pay the bills.
Yeah, it was, I seconded it.
Yep, we
I had
did.
my circles around your knees. Yes, yes, yes.
It was done. It was done.
Thank you. I didn't see you come down before. When they were with the kids, I was like, no. You wanna sit?
Center.
Yeah. She's up first, there'll be others. I'll walk you out. Congratulations. Can you continue with the open comment? Devin? I'll be back in a few minutes.
No, Deputy. Deputy Supervisor, before we start the open comments, I see that our Superintendent of Water is here, and regarding Mike's comments earlier, I would like to just bring him up to make the answers that I gave clear, because I wasn't really clear on it, but I thought it was H2M, so that's why I said that. But now that he's here, I'd like him to just...
Thank you very much.
No problem.
You're welcome. I'm Frank Mancini, the Water District Superintendent. I didn't hear all the questions, so just fire them off to me while I'm standing here.
Sure. Do you want them on mic or I can, I think
I
I can
can,
carry
yeah.
a microphone, right?
I-
I can do it without a microphone.
The whole world hears you, Mike.
The first one I heard it, that, do we regularly sample the well, am I taking those results into account in the design of it? Was that the question?
That was,
Yeah.
to
That was one of them.
paraphrase it, Frank, because this was passed 18 months ago, I wanted to know if you've been keeping track of the PFAS numbers
Yes.
since it was first regulated, and have they gotten worse over the last 18
So,
months?
so this particular well field is required, quarterly sampling of PFAS is required for both individual wells and the blended product that we send to system. So what's important to know is we don't even violate today's drinking water standard, but it is close when the two wells go to system. They've always been blended because of naturally occurring manganese at the site, and we're building a plant for that too, so I've got to coordinate these two systems. They haven't moved much at all, they've been fairly stable for years. As soon as I arrived here about 1.75 years ago, I started sampling these wells at a frequency greater than the regulatory requirements, so I could gain a handle on the levels of PFAS and whether the blend was going to be a viable permanent solution, because that is a acceptable method of, for lack of a better term, treatment by the state. Remember, you asked me about, you didn't like the language of dilution. Blending is the state language that the state it chooses this it's very rigid, you can't just say what you want. But say the scenario that these do increase, the treatment system wouldn't change. What would change is the frequency of the carbon exchange. So these are just giant vessels where granular activated carbon sits in like a gigantic Brita filter, but about $80,000 of carbon at a time. And if the results get higher, the carbon is essentially used up at a faster rate. So during the treatment and the operation of the system, there's two vessels, and we sample the influent, the effluent, which is pre-treatment, after treatment, and the middle, so that we have a really good handle on where the numbers are going.
I was going to say that, but I just didn't want to, I didn't want to paraphrase it.
And you would have been off by maybe 2 syllables at most. number one, Frank the Water Guy. Thank you very much for
You're welcome.
remembering that comment from 3 months ago.
Yeah, I remember.
The upgrade, what does the upgrade entail? I know the engineer's being paid $79,000, and Councilman Bayrod had mentioned it was H2M.
It is H2M.
It is H2M, okay.
I thought so.
And what exactly does the upgrade entail that they're
So-
considering?
So this is a capital project that we added to an existing capital project. So this has to, like I said, we're building a manganese removal plant at the site where we have a $3 million grant. So what this project entails is design of the GACs, the two large granular activated carbon vessels, but more importantly, the contract that'll allow me to put them out to bid and award the contract right away, because there is a slight delay in the manufacturing of these GACs because of COVID and the demand on them because of New York State made a really aggressive move in regulating PFAS. So rather than wait for the capital project to approve, which we start that process this month, I transferred money out of the Key Money Fund to get ahead of this problem so that we can award the contract and the vendor can order the vessels as soon as possible so that we get our order in as soon as possible.
Well, that's great governance, Frank the Water Guy, thank you very much. And Frank the Council Guy, thank you very much for finding him to do that. This is what governance is supposed to do. And I thank you.
I apologize for not being here earlier. It's not always obvious to me what resolution will generate public comment.
Understood. But I mean, this is what got me crazy before. This is good governance. A discussion on a resolution and getting an answer. This is what good governance is.
Well,
Now, I'll take your comment if I feel like it.
Well, I
Thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much.
You're always
And
welcome
thank
to
you,
call
Frank,
me
for taking the
directly,
call.
anybody out there, but thanks again.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much.
So before we,
Too bad the supervisor missed you.
if I could just talk 1 minute, since we did bring up the water issue, and I will start off by saying we actually have a very amazing head of our water district in Riverhead. Living in a town that's surrounded by bays and waters and the Sound, you would think that adequate water isn't a problem here. But at the July 15th meeting of the planning board sounded an alarm about the capacity of the Riverhead Water District and that it's seriously challenged. Today, I'm calling for my fellow board members to actively address this critical issue. In order to address this challenge, I'm calling for an immediate work session with the Water District, our town attorneys, and our financial administrator. We need an update on the state of water in our water district. We must explore our options to meet demand, the potential cost sharing, to offset the increased capacity of future projects. I'm also calling for a joint meeting between the town board and the planning board to discuss the concerns that they have raised. And I'm also asking for a town-wide comprehensive water plan, conservation plan, to incorporate into our master plan update. So I'm hoping that my council mates up here will consider these three things. I think this is an issue that we can't just sweep under the rug. This is a serious issue that we need to address, and I'm calling for these 3 steps.
And
Thank
thank you, Catherine, I totally agree with you.
Great,
And that's
thank you.
why last week we formed the Water Advisory Committee.
Yeah,
And those
so-
are great topics to discuss. And I totally agree with you. And Rothwell, you're the liaison to water now. Can
Well,
you
no,
give us an update?
Frank is the liaison
I
to
mean,
water.
to water, but
He's doing awesome.
we're doing the Matterville.
I'm working on clean drinking water, and so
Clean drinking
we've
water.
been working with our town attorney and
So that's
so on
one.
and so forth, towards putting together committees. So right now, we're in the organizational stage, and also
Perfect.
recruiting members to join us as well.
Right.
But also, I did have discussions with Frank in terms of discussing an approach to the future where we are going to lead into a new mapping plan, correct, in terms of evaluating our system and upgrading it as well.
Great.
So I think Frank is definitely working on that.
Yeah, and these are
Frank-
some of the things that have been spoken between myself, the liaison, and Marie Prudenti, the town
Yes.
attorney, and Frank Mancini. So these were sort of behind-the-scenes things, but I have no problem with, and I think it's a great idea, is to come and talk about it at work session so that something can be mapped out, obviously, and so that the community can see and understand what's happening.
So I really hope to see it on the work session this week. I think it's a pressing issue, and I'm glad that the planning board brought it up, and I hope that we can have it on for this Thursday.
And also just be mindful that any new construction, they're gonna have to build the infrastructure. In prior projects, the infrastructure was not built, and Anne Marie Prudenti has a lot of historical knowledge on that, and she's been working on that, from what I understand. So it's
So-
good, that water's critical, and it's very important, clean, dirty, and Manorville water, so.
And some projects may contribute to the upgrade of things. That's what I think Frank is overall making analysis of.
Yeah.
And that's what he's going to work on through the map and plan, right, Frank? Thank you.
Yes, and there's been a couple of maps and plans to address that. So that's good. We're gonna bring it all together.
So lastly, on the water, and I see that we have Kelly here, we did have someone from Manorville that addressed the board a couple of weeks ago that was really very upset, so I'm wondering if we have an update from Congressman Zeldin on what's happening with that.
Okay, so we are, these are common sections of the meeting, and now you're going into the water, but I'm glad to see her here. That has been turned over to Councilman Rothwell. It is part of the infrastructure bill. I asked Congressman Schumer's, Senator Schumer, office, Schumer, to provide us an update as to where it is in the infrastructure bill. I think it's like 500 pages or so we're waiting to hear, and as soon as we get an update, we're going to give it to our liaison, and Kelly, you're going to be briefed soon as to where we are. And I know
I
the
have
councilman
not, yeah.
wants to make a statement on this.
No,
so-
I know that as of now, for your direct answers, we have not received a written update since the last meeting of a current status on how federal government is any update or notice. So we put in grants that we're waiting on. But in terms of a direct letter or anything of anything from Zeldin, I think that's the reason for formation of this committee, is to have better communication between multiple offices as opposed to waiting for written responses. I think by forming this committee, we're hoping to gather everybody around on either monthly basis to a prize update, because I feel like, yes, we have been, sometimes we're on pins and needles just waiting for a response, and sometimes it just takes time. So the committee hopefully will expedite some of those, that people will, from the Senator Schumer's office and Zeldin's office will come here with the expectation, knowing that they'll need to provide an update.
Yeah, and they've been notified that there's a committee, correct?
Yep, so
If
we
we haven't, we should.
notified them, and we're waiting for
Yeah.
their selections.
And then we have to, you're still selecting the individuals?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Seeking
That's
public
good.
input. too,
Water's
yep.
critical, especially in Manorville, and we're trying to
Absolutely.
move on as quickly as possible, and that's why we have the map and plan that we paid for. I know that Schumer recently, I read in the newspaper, so I wasn't privileged. I read in the newspaper that Schumer had told the Navy, move forward on this. And I'm still waiting. I think the infrastructure bill is before the floor now, as of yesterday. I haven't read it. It's
So-
very long pages, and we're hoping it's in there, but in either case, we did email on, I know I did.
So there was a letter from Senator Schumer directing, directly to the Navy, requesting, their funding to provide clean drinking water.
Right.
But in terms of you're asking for an update, that letter was not directed to us. It's Schumer directing it to the Navy, but we as others have seen a copy of it.
And I did reach out to Schumer's office and have a conversation with them where they did, I am pleased that they're also stepping up. I just wondered where we were at with the other. Thank you.
Okay. Kelly, did you want to make a statement?
Yes,
Hi,
please.
good afternoon.
Kelly McClinchy, Manorville.
Hi.
So I wasn't planning again on speaking at the meeting, but here I am. Just to clarify, Schumer's office actually did ask the Navy for complete funding back in the fall. A letter was received. All the residents have seen it. It's been sent out to all of them. I made sure of that. And the Navy, as we know, said, no can do. They are not responsible. However, the latest article in Newsday did say that Senator Schumer had discussions with the new incoming defense of the Navy. The Navy would not comment at that point, I just want to clarify this. The Navy would not comment at that point because this individual was not appointed to the position.
Okay.
So that's where we are with that. I do feel like I need to step up and make a comment about the Clean Drinking Water Committee that you have proposed. So Councilman Rothwell, I have spoken to you at length on the phone.
Yes.
I've emailed you.
Yes.
Supervisor, I emailed you. I know you got back to me and referred me back to the councilman. And I made my thoughts on this very clear. I wasn't going to speak at a public meeting on it, but, you know, you guys opened this up, so I am going to get up and speak. I do not think that the way you're presenting this committee is best for the Manorville residents. I had asked for all 5 town board members to be present. I had asked for this to be done during a public session. I don't think it's fair at all when the message here is to be transparent to the residents. I don't think it's fair to include a handful of residents and not the others. I think that I've done a pretty good job up until now relaying the message to the 64 homeowners in Riverhead and the 64 in Brookhaven. However, if the purpose of this is to inform the residents, I think it needs to be done at a public session so that everybody can access the information and hear it the same way my ears hear it. Clearly, based on me sitting here and listening to the discussion that you guys have had for the past 8-9 minutes, clearly Councilwoman Kent is in agreement with that. I did hear Councilman Bayrat say that it should be at a work session, and I am in full agreement with that. I'm not saying that the elected officials shouldn't be here. That's great. However, the Manorville residents know that it is a lengthy process. It doesn't move fast. There is honestly, I have to say, my time is valuable, your time is valuable. There is nothing that comes up every 4 weeks that needs to be constantly discussed. I come to these meetings and I hear you saying, I reached out and had a conversation with Zeldin, or we did a map and plan, or I had a conversation with this one. Just tell us in public session, what does the conversation consist of? I don't want it to become political. I don't want it to be that things are being hidden from the residents, because like I've said, every single step of the way, I've been transparent with the residents. There's no discussions that I've had with anybody that they don't know about. And I do think that it is on you now to not so much form a committee, because committees typically, by definition, they sit down and they work out a problem. They work out what could be a possible, fix to the problem. There's only one fix here. There's nothing to talk about. Get the pipe in the ground and let's get moving. And it moves at a snail's pace. There's nothing to discuss every 4 weeks. And I do think that time is better spent to inform the community, because we've heard from Jody Giglio that grant opportunities have been presented to the town. Where are they? What are they? Have they been applied for? Because I haven't seen them in a resolution. I think those are the types of things that if you want to tell the residents what the town board is doing, that's what they need to hear. Other than that, they know. They know what's going on. And as I said before, I asked to meet with all 5 of you. And I was told, open meeting rules, we can't do that. You actually can do that. You can do it at a work session. And the residents that are available can come into this room and sit down and hear what you have to say. And the residents that aren't available can access it on the website or access it on Channel 22 later on. So they're all hearing the same thing. I think it is super important, and I made this point to Councilman Rothwell. I don't think, honestly, that all 5 of you are as informed as you should be. I know for certain that there are certain members that have not attended a RAB meeting, and I'm not saying that that's the main cause of this. I'm not saying that that is a must, but it is a must. You want to sell that land at EPCAL? You want to do things with that property? You need to know what the Navy's doing there. And I offered, because I've been deep in this for so long, I've offered to come in and present the entire history of how we got to this point. And I understand that things are still in the works and you're having conversations, but I'm waiting for a reply back. And I'm standing up here to say to you that a committee, in the typical sense, that's not what the residents need. The residents need to hear what you have actually done, what you are planning to do. Other than that, they know what Schumer's office has done. They know what he's planning to do. I make sure they know that information. They know what Zeldin has done. They know what he's planning to do. I make sure they know that information. What they need from you and what they have asked for the past month of board meetings is for you to give information about what you have done. So if there's nothing, that's fine. Just tell us there's nothing, and we'll carry on with what we've been doing. However, if there is information, say it in a public work session. Say it at a public board meeting. Just let us know. It's really that simple. It doesn't have to be something that becomes very time-consuming for everybody. Thank you.
Kelly, and I appreciate your remarks, and I know how engaged you are in this, and we're all very concerned, and we're all trying to work through this, and we have agreed to put it up at a work session with the councilman.
That was one you and I discussed on the phone,
Yeah.
and it was something which you requested, and I said to you initially, I would like to have an organizational meeting, so to how are we going to prepare these work sessions? Who should participate? Do we have representatives from different offices? And I said I needed to do some preparations on this topic, and you stated that you would attend a work session meeting, but didn't feel it was necessary or didn't have the time, perhaps, to participate in getting things organized. And I asked if you wanted to come down and talk to me and to lead it. But I needed to organize myself so that we can have a conducive work session, as opposed to everyone arrive here and say, what are we here to talk about? Who's going to speak first, and what's the agenda of the meeting, and so forth. So my idea and was to have everyone around a work session table and discussion, and then we would be organized to go, okay, let's go over the initial findings. Let's have Frank from our water district find out what it needs. Let him explain to everybody at the table. Because you are doing a great job talking to Mount residents, but I am getting people that are saying that they're not aware of what's going on, what the town has done. There are people that don't know the process of where we are with grants and what the time period is and when we can expect an answer. So this was to be established to have better communication with the Mountaville residents, and I told you that was my ultimate goal. And I did say that absolutely we would have those work sessions. The supervisor had asked me to organize this, to put it to a work session, but we need to get organized first. And so right now we were just reaching out to everyone that's partaking in this endeavor, meaning, Congressman Zeldin's office, Senator Chuck Schumer's office, representative from the U.S. Navy, and then Frank from our water district, to us, to the supervisor, to Dawn regarding grants, to our legal department, towards what they've done and contacts. So I just wanted to get organized, and that was my discussion with you. And I did promise you, and we will follow up, there will be a work session but we're just setting the agenda, and I think that work session will be very soon.
Okay.
And I
Thank you.
hope that you will please be there.
Yes.
I plan to be there,
Okay. Thank you.
absolutely. Just to further reiterate, I have given up a lot of time, a lot of personal time for this, a lot of time at work. This is not something that I take lightly. When I come down here, I'm representing 120-plus families, and it is serious. It's serious work. And we do appreciate your phone call, your willingness to move forward, but I just wanted to get it on public record that a committee per se is not the way to go for the residents. It's not what's going to benefit them. The work session is what's going to benefit them. So I thank you for the hard work you're doing, and I look forward to hearing from you.
And that committee is to organize that work session, all right, so that we can prove. You have incredible knowledge, and that's why we need to share that, okay?
She sure
So
does.
thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
So great points, Kelly, thank you. I'm glad it's going to be on a work session. I think it's important for the whole board to be here, and plus people in town hall that perhaps are working on this issue, so that's good. I have attended the RAB meetings, they're very informative. I think, as a board, we should be as supportive of that group as we can, and I do know that our water superintendent is also a member of the RAB board at this time now. I believe.
And the RAB board meetings are continuing.
Thank you.
At one time, they thought they weren't going to continue. That was a little scary. I've been to a couple of them, and they're important. But moving forward, good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Can you identify your name?
I'm going to identify myself, but I'm just going to say, I've had the best time today that I have had in a long time.
Okay.
Is that a good thing?
Years ago, I was here quite a lot.
Wait,
and
ma'am, can you identify
My
your
name is Mary Beth Andresen.
Hi.
I am a resident of Aquabog, and I am going to take this whole thing down a notch. Okay, not water, not whether we're transparent, but a completely different thing and a very selfish thing on my part. I live at 127 Church Lane in Aquabog. And I don't know if you know that road, but Aquabog is the Algonquin word for where the water ends. The population of Aquabog in 1975, when I built my farm, was 1,632 inhabitants.
Wow.
It has risen 52%
Okay.
to 2021 and is now 2,480. Church Lane is a very winding lane. It goes like this. It is also the shortest distance between Sound Avenue and the main road. If you'll note, the houses are built on banks. They're high, because at one point, it was all water. And every time we have rain, we get water. However, I built my house, and I have a farm, and I can't get out of my driveway anymore. It was never easy. It was never easy. And when I moved there, the speed limit was 55 miles an hour. And what there was were houses and some farms. Now, we have 6 new developments off that road, with more people living there than lived originally on the whole road. So our traffic has increased. The population traffic has increased. The tourism traffic has increased. We do know that Waze and all these wonderful little apps we have can send you every way
That's right.
to beat the traffic. It is worth your life to exit my driveway. The speed limit is now 35. I cannot see around the curve that has been there since I built that house. It was never as bad as it is now. It's terrifying. We have had head-on collisions in front of my house because it's also an area that floods. The water level on Church Lane is probably about 2 feet below the surface normally. When the town put in storm sewers, I was there and I watched, and they're in standing water 90% of the time. West Nile virus in the equine population started in Aquabog. Why? Because the mosquitoes were breeding. They have a place to live. So we have a road that has a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit around a blind curve that you can't see a thing around until you hit my driveway. At 35 miles an hour, it takes 5 seconds to get to my driveway. I can't see. So a year ago, I went to the town highway department. I have called the police multiple times. Please slow these people down. Nobody's doing 35. We know everybody does 7 to 10 miles over. That's the average. That's the average according to every Department of Transportation. That's not the guys doing 20 miles over. I have been nearly T-boned multiple times. I'm too old to die there. Trust me, not ready yet.
Good.
And George Woodson told me a year ago, and the police department, are they still here? He knows. George Woodson told me a year ago, put a mirror up. I asked him if I could. He said, if your neighbors say it's okay, because it would be on their property, because it sees around the curve, fine. Well, I didn't do anything. Things happen in my life. This year, I almost had a terrible accident pulling out of my driveway. I came very close to being killed. It's not going to happen. So I went and ordered a mirror. I was told, get a big one, Mary Beth, because you're not going to be able to see. There's a formula they use for a convex mirror. It's based on the length of where the object approaches to the mirror and where your sight is to the mirror. There's one on Peconic Bay Boulevard across from Jamesport. Beach entrance is so small you can't see anything out of it.
Ma'am,
So
that's 5 minutes, ma'am. If you could just wrap up your comments, Supervisor,
Okay,
that's
I'll
5
come
minutes.
back. I'll come back at the end of everybody, because I can do that, right?
No.
But we
I
we
know
can
you
make,
can.
we can make a commitment. I'd like to take a ride over, so it's 127
Well, I'm going
Church
to
Lane.
invite you all. I'm just
Yes.
gonna give
Great.
you a
I-
bulleted list.
Okay,
I'm gonna give you pictures,
perfect.
and I would love you all to come.
I will.
What happened was I put up a mirror, and the neighbors
Devin?
said it was okay, and now they're fighting me and telling
Okay,
me.
you know what, I think that has to be addressed, and I know where you're going, and I know someone who had that same issue. So we're gonna end that, because it is 5 minutes, and then what we're gonna do is, thank you for providing that information. And, also, I just wanna be mindful, I try to find it in the phone, I can't do it, but there's some emails sitting down, that I have pending. I haven't fully read it, I just read the title. The executive, the county executive, Steve Ballone, is forming a task force with South Hole and Riverhead, and they want us to assign a member, so we'll discuss it further. Let me get into my email, and it's to deal with the traffic in the North Fork.
Can I-
Yes, but I just,
And then you mentioned traffic, and then we're gonna deal with the murder. So-
can I,
Yeah, can I just ask, can you give your phone number and contact to Devin, and then I'll reach
sure,
out to you?
can I speak after everybody else has spoken?
If you
And
want to
then
hang out, I'll
I'll-
gladly talk to you afterwards, even what's, give more depth if you'd
Yeah,
like.
let's
Well,
just
I'm
get
gonna
an
hand you
idea,
these, okay?
because it is 5 minutes, and we have to move the meetings in a timely
But I thought
fashion.
after the 5 minutes, I mean,
No,
I mean, I
you
can
don't
fine
start
with-
again.
I'm fine with having you finish.
So, it's
in the
okay.
olden days, you used to be able to come back.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
When Joe
So-
Gadowski was the supervisor, and those guys, you know.
Yep, I'm good with
Where,
that.
where are you on church? Are you by Mark
I'm on a
Zaweski?
bad curve, baby.
No, I know, by Mark
Just
Zaweski?
wants a few
No.
minutes.
Or you
All the
further?
way up.
Oh, okay.
No, I have the farm.
Oh,
I
down,
have
down,
the
down.
farm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
See
now
the
I know
sign,
where
it
it
says
is.
Fox
Yeah.
Club
Fox
Farm
Club.
on the
Yeah, yeah,
road.
yeah, now I know where it is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let me digest this, and thank you for all the information you're giving us.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it, Mary Ann.
Don't you read
Did you get to
Very
go to the barbecue for the church this year?
my husband has cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that was wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna move on.
Thank you, Mary Beth, and I'll
Thank
keep
you.
your husband in my prayers.
Yes. Hi. how
Hi,
are
good
you?
afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Supervisor, members of the town board. My name is Mark Hobner, and I'm a citizen of Aquabog.
Hi, how are you?
My wife and I take turns going to the grocery store and running errands in order to reduce our exposure to coronavirus. We have both compromised immune systems and underlying health issues, and I think she's going to sue me on a HIPAA violation for putting that on TV.
I think you will.
She will, right?
Oh,
We plan very carefully when we must go somewhere. We've been out to a restaurant 3 times in 18 months. With mutations of the virus being as much concern as the original, with only half the population vaccinated, we must be careful. We discussed my being here in person today. We decided it was important enough to risk exposure, and I just noticed that the remote participation was not an option. Our daughter and her husband have asserted their right to postpone the vaccination, and they're out in the public working every day. They leave our 3-year-old grandson with us 3 or 4 days a week, during which time my daughter stays with us. My wife's 96-year-old mother lives with us. She's probably at the highest risk of infection and would suffer what we may call poor outcomes if we were to bring coronavirus into our house. We're afraid to bring a rotating staff of home health aides in to help, which leaves my wife taking care of her mother 96 hours a week. No, 120, all week, 7 times 24, 168 hours a week. Thank you. America has seen the advent of electronic voting, which enables people to participate in the process of democracy in places far from their homes. Technology has also given us the opportunity to participate in all levels of government. And without it, our local representatives would not have had the benefit of input from their constituents over the last year and a half. Video conferencing of every platform, Zoom, Google, Microsoft, WebEx, have changed not just the way we work, but the way we think about work and participation. It kept many corporations in business, many people continuously employed, and many governments simply functional. This comparatively inexpensive tool of technology provides us with a great number of benefits. It reduces our carbon footprint using our cars. It reduces the amount of time wasted in traveling to meetings. It increases safety for citizens unable to drive in inclement weather, rain, ice, in the dark. It creates access to our representatives for people who must work during the day to participate in 2 o'clock meetings. It creates a greater opportunity for citizen participation, a sign of a well-run participative democracy. It creates an improvement for open and transparent government, something that many people see as lacking in some areas of our country. With all these considerations, it seems logical to keep using video conferencing in conducting the town's affairs. It also shows a consideration for the difficulties that people have when they perform their civic duty by participating in the process of democracy. I would urge you to continue using video conferencing as a public service for all of the workings of our town, not just during the pandemic, but always. For me, for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name's Albie Schmidt. I live and farmed on Matter Lane in Jamesport for about 42 years.
Okay.
I don't know where to turn. I'm here today. Never spoke publicly. I'm going to try my best.
You're welcome.
We have a very bad neighborhood nuisance going on at the Jamesport Manor.
Yes.
It's out of control. There's no getting away from it. This is not a catering. This is events.
Right.
This is concerts. This is, I hate to say it, future Vineyard 48. It's out of control. I'm not anti-business at all. I've been in business my whole life.
Right.
This is out of control. Jamesport Manor has been there long before me. I had no problem with the restaurant being there. How this turned into what it's turned into is out of control. It's out of control. It's got 4 or 5 tents. He's got 2 weddings at a time going on. It's this all night long. That's what I hear for 3-4 hours straight, 3 times a week. I don't know where to turn. I don't know where to move. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
I need the town's help on this. He shouldn't be allowed to do this. It's an agricultural protection zone. The town and the county have spent lots and lots and lots of dollars for the development rights in that Jamesport area. Look at the map. It's huge. You talked about it earlier. Getting funding to buy some more rights, ag rights and stuff. And this guy is capitalizing on it. He's right in the smack in the middle of it. And the problem is with the decibel readings, so on and so forth, it carries across the farm fields. So a decibel reading is not accurate a half a mile away. Noise ordinance has to be tweaked also for other sakes, because there's a lot of operations in this town that could do the same thing. The decibel reading should be taken from his property line, not somebody a half a mile away, or me 500 feet away. And it's a lot of land, it's developed land, the rights are off it. And we never got notified that he's gonna do catering there. We were under the assumption that he was gonna run his catering business out of there, take the trucks and the trailers and go to a site and do this. The restaurant, we don't have a problem with it. He's tripled his seating, and nobody has a problem with this, whether he's allowed to or not. But you can't have these concerts, as I call them. I can't get away from it. I don't spend any time outside of my home. I get home at night, I'm shot. I sit in the house, close the windows, turn the AC on, turn the TV on, and the windows are still shaking. And I have new windows. Anderson High Performance windows. I can't buy better windows.
Right.
So,
Mr. Schmidt, I fully understand, and we have received a lot of complaints, and code is working on it. And, Bob, can you give us an update, because we've had to take it to a different
just one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing.
I want to let Albie speak.
One more thing, and while the chief is here, Riverhead PD's been called, New York State PD's been called. They get to your house, they go like this: what do you want us to do? Nobody, as far as I know, Riverhead PD is qualified for noise.
Yeah, we have one officer.
One officer? Okay.
We do have an officer, and at times, we have used the code enforcement who is qualified to come in off hours. And this has been a discussion with myself and the town attorney, and I understand the gravity of it.
This can't go on.
Yeah, it's not, and we've had enough, and if you're done, here's 5 minutes.
I'm done. I thank you for your time.
Okay, so then we're
I will say this.
give it to the town attorney.
I've known Albie for a long time. Albie approached me. and we've had code enforcement. I think Richard Downs was out there, so I know he
Yes, he
came out
was,
like
yep. A week ago.
past Friday. This has been discussed twice with the town board. I
And the
think the fact
supervisor.
that they're hearing from you now hopefully will be the straw that breaks the camel's back in order to, take some action.
Yes, and we are going vigorously. We're pursuing this, and everybody's had enough.
Okay.
And
All right.
I can say, I
share-
know Albie and his family for a long time. I have a farm directly across from where his house is, and
Yeah.
Raymond and John Kioski, and it is all open farm field. There's no barrier, there's no buffer. It's a unique area of town where noise will travel, so.
And James, take a ride down Manor Lane.
Oh, no,
Take
I
a
was
ride
there,
down
I was there on Saturday.
It's probably one of the beautiful.
I was there
you
on
know,
Saturday at 8 o'clock, when it's the height of the time.
Yeah.
And so we've made it a point, and there's been discussions, and the board has been in executive session, has been apprised of it, and, I understand, and we're going vigorously, we're pursuing it and to the max. So,
All right.
and you're always free to call us, as anyone. Anybody has any concerns, the public has, they can be heard. You can always come here, you can email us, you can write, and of course you can call.
Oh.
So, and any communication that comes into the clerk's office is documented, it's stamped, and is sent to the board, if it's related to the
And
board.
you did in fact send a letter.
And you
We-
did,
It
and
was
you
on the
did that.
record today.
Okay.
And yes, and we have it, it was read today, and you're here, and these are two forms of communication, so you did communicate, and thank you,
It's.
I get it.
Can't take it. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
we
you
get
very
it.
much for your time.
All right.
So,
And-
Mr. Schmidt, thank you for coming today. The board has been apprised, and it is of grave concern to us. We are aware. It's good to hear from you today, too. Also, it always helps to hear a personal story. And I think it's really important that we work to maintain our quality of life out here. As we grow out here, we need to really step back and look at our quality of life and what's important.
I never thought this, after 42 years, I would lose my quality of life. Been here a long time.
I
Okay.
live across the street from a farm, and if I lose that, I
Yes.
lose a lot. And that's why I build my dream home right across from a farm, so I get it,
Okay, I appreciate it. Hopefully we can make some progress.
yes.
All right, thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Albie.
And you know what, Mr. Smith, one more thing, Albert, just one more thing, because this may go into litigation, so sometime litigation, we can deal with the town attorney. If it's
I'm sure we'll be in touch.
It's
I'm
probably
sure
gonna
we'll
go
be in-
that way.
I'm sure we'll be in touch.
So you need to contact, everything can't be out here, we can't say that, what we're doing, and let people know, so, that's why you call us
I'm a
too.
phone call away also.
Okay, so this
I
may
have
go to
your
that
number.
level?
Everybody knows where to find me.
Yep.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know the severity,
Oh, yeah.
and this may go that level, and so it's better to just deal with your attorney privately and to move it forward, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you so
Just one
much.
question, Bob, could we do a study out there like we did at Stop and Shop? I mean, instead of moving right away into
Rich
litigation?
did that, not this immediate Friday, the Friday before, and he took sound readings.
So that's the same thing that was done at Stop and Shop?
Same,
Because then they were
same setup, where he set up a sound device at Albie and Bonnie's house, property line, in order to measure the sound that was coming from the Carmen Bay property. So yes, that was done.
But I remember there was a full study done because Sean Harkin came and presented it
I-
to the board.
I'd
So
rather,
then
I'd
from
rather,
there, they
I'd rather
were
not
required-
discuss
I think
litigation.
that should be
I mean, certainly
discussed
if
in
we want to
private.
talk, I would.
He says an ongoing
Based
investigation.
upon what's going
It's
on.
an investigation, and it's going into litigation, so
I
this is
would-
not, we need to maintain
I
the
would
client
certainly, I would
privilege.
certainly bring, if that's a correct, why don't we put this on for executive session so we
Yeah,
can have that
absolutely,
discussion?
we can discuss it,
So we can talk about it
Okay.
moving forward.
Okay.
All right?
okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening, actually, it's already 4:15. Hello, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Mike Foley from Reese Park. I'm speaking on behalf of the board of the RNPC in regards to our master plan. Before I get into specific questions for Jefferson, I just want to talk about a moratorium for a couple of minutes. We've heard about water problems that continue to exacerbate clean water in our town. We have residents who pay taxes in our town that can't get clean water. It would seem to me, with all of the plans on the table, I forget the name of the plan, but I think it's AK Ventures, that has about 410,000 square foot of development that they're getting ready to propose to the town board and the planning board. We have a finite amount of water in our aquifers, and I think it's important that we understand how much water we have left over what we are trying to serve the footprint of Riverhead in right now. And I think for that reason, Yvette, because we have a master plan that's in progress, it's gone slow because of COVID, but we have another contract with more deliverable dates in the near future. I think the board needs to really seriously consider a moratorium on all industrial development, a moratorium on any additional retail space that is not backfilled in vacant storefront areas. We have a lot of vacant storefronts. We have a lot of businesses that are looking to get things done out here. I think we need to target them in areas of vacancy before we clear any more trees. I have no idea when AK Ventures are going to start clearing land. I'm not familiar with the property. I read an article on it, and it concerns me greatly that until we can figure out how much water we have left, how much we can expand and still safely provide water to our town, we need to strongly consider a moratorium. The moratorium was declared and extended twice for the last master plan that we had, Yvette, in 2003. And I think it's important that we take a very hard look at this right now. The master plan is upon us. The town square is upon us. CMA mine issues are upon us. Well 5 that we have to now redo because of PFAS pollution is upon us. Isn't it time to pause and just get our act together and service everybody we need to service presently before we look to expand? And I won't ask for any comments or any responses. If you want to give them to me later, that would be fine.
Mike,
yes, Frank.
Only because he's still here. Frank Mancini actually raised his hand and said he'd like to make a comment.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Come take the microphone.
Because I'm here, we'll talk about this, and because Riverhead has spent $500,000 to figure this out. It's not about the quantity of water in the aquifer. There's plenty of water in the aquifer. There's a term called sustainable yield, and we're not even near that or anywhere close to that as far as what we can withdraw from the aquifer and serve. The problem is delivery of water and paying for the infrastructure to develop that. And what we're doing is a conventional approach to water supply, in that if you have a big project moving through the program, we would ask for you to pay for the development of that supply so that the ratepayers of the Riverhead Water District don't do that, because it's not fair to them. And that's a conventional approach applied throughout all of Long Island. Whether these projects move forward or not is really up to the board, but I just want to clear up the misconception that there's plenty of water issues all over the place. The amount of water in the aquifer is not one of them. Our agreement with the USGS, like I said, we spent $500,000 to do surveys throughout Riverhead and determine where the saltwater interface was, and we spent $200,000 on two 860-foot wells that now straddle the saltwater interface on the eastern edge of Riverhead, so that we can really monitor exactly what's happening in the aquifer. And no one else has done anything like this. They're doing similar things on Shelter Island, which has a much more pressing problem than us. But I just want to be clear that what we're doing in Riverhead is really cutting edge, and as far as large-scale aquifer management and water resource management is as good as anyone in the business.
And there is no end necessarily to the aquifer. It's just managing the way of delivering the water.
It's managing rate charge and withdrawal from the aquifer, which the DEC regulates that. This study will allow us to most efficiently develop those water resources, and that now we know, like for instance, one of our wells does have a saltwater issue, which we thought initially was an intrusion issue, but now we know it's a naturally occurring condition that's been here since the time of glacial times, and it's brackish water, had nothing to do with our well. It's cost us a lot of money to figure this all out.
Who else employs the USGS or nearby? I mean, is it something that Suffolk County Water?
Yeah, the Suffolk County Water, I've been working with them for 20 years because 20 years ago I was with Suffolk County Water. And in fact, the site I mentioned, I did the test boring for Suffolk County Water when they were going to take over Riverhead. And then we developed that parcel. We would have made the exact same decisions at Suffolk County Water, but it's taken us this long to figure it out. quite a bit of sites I developed for them on the North Fork and the eastern end of Riverhead developed issues, because 20 years ago, we simply didn't know exactly what we don't know now, and used to have to drill a borehole and sample the ground to determine where saltwater is, but now we do something called the time domain resistivity study. That's why if you see me or the USGS in a field with a large, like, what looks like a giant electrical cord and a box in the middle, that's what we're doing.
On a friendly farmers, maybe.
Yes, and we work closely with the agribusiness because you can't do this in many places in Long Island because if there's buried electrical infrastructure or any metal in the ground, this type of surveying doesn't work. And in fact, the state has been somewhat critical of the USGS for spending so much time in Riverhead, but they don't realize we've paid a lot of money to do this.
The only reason I bring it up, Frank, is because kudos to you and your department being very proactive on water
Yeah.
supply and distribution.
And my predecessor, this
Yep,
started
yep.
before my time. It's just I
Absolutely.
happened to work with the USGS and came in, hit the ground running
And
with
that's
them.
right, you're
Thank you.
upgrading our system,
Yeah,
long overdue, and I've spent
Yes.
hours and hours with you.
yeah.
And I understand, it's very complicated, there's a lot of moving parts. It's not like turning on the switch and water comes, that's what we get. We, the
Yes.
end receiver, what gets you to that point, it's a step, it's very costly.
Yeah.
It's very, detailed, and, so I know that you're doing a good job, and I thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and all these problems have a solution, it's just the cost of them is what, who pays what is what we're really setting up now.
Sure.
So, and Mike, to your point, and the HK Ventures actually is a massive project. It is a very large industrial park that's coming in, and at the very least, we should be requiring more of developers to pay into the cost of the infrastructure, because certainly we can't carry that burden. So I think that we should be advocating more for ourselves as a town and asking more of these developers.
Don't go far, Frank.
Frank, real quick, are you on the Master Plan Central Advisory Committee?
No, not that am I?
Yes, you are.
Okay, that's what, yeah, they email me stuff, I comment.
Well,
Yes.
let me say two
Okay,
things.
let him finish, he's on it,
Absolutely so.
Let me say two things. Number one, you don't know because there hasn't been a meeting, which is one of the questions I have for Jeff. But number two, you're gonna be a tremendous asset
Absolutely.
to the Central Advisory
Okay.
Committee. You're a guy that knows what he's talking about with water and clean water, and the delivery of it is a critical component in our master plan. Which, thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Frank.
And which leads me to my questions
Go ahead.
for Jeff. To prelude it, Jeff, you were good enough to come to a Sound Park Heights shareholders meeting that we invited you to on July the 10th. I introduced you and asked you to kind of tell people what you did, what your role on the master plan was, and what the public outreach program was and how that was going to work. And you did a good job explaining it. That was July the 10th, and we're on August the 3rd. So the three questions I have for you is, we talked about an online survey. We've been talking about it for, 6 or 7 months. There have been problems with AKRF. There have been problems with the technology. And I want to know if we have come close to making that happen. The second thing is for the Central Advisory Council. It took us months from this podium to get Yvette to allow a civic representative on the Central Advisory Committee. She made a good choice. We asked for some civic environmentalists. I think she made a great choice in appointing Mark. But as of yet, they have not had one meeting. And I think as part of your 5-page plan on how public outreach was going to work, the survey was supposed to come first. The Central Advisory Council meetings were supposed to meet approximately monthly. And then there was supposed to be public outreach meetings that were comprised of 5 groups that you put together on a contiguous basis for the 11 hamlets in the town of Riverhead.
Mr.
And-
Foley, let me just interrupt you. I know you're not going to be happy, but I just need to inform everybody that that's 5 minutes.
Sure,
So
and
if you
I'll
could
ask
just wrap
Yvette,
up.
I'll ask Yvette for 3 more
Right.
minutes to conclude my remarks.
I'm just
Thank you.
required to tell everybody it's 5 minutes, so if you could just wrap up.
And I'll ask Yvette for
and
3 more minutes to
We
conclude
just have
my
other people we
remarks.
want to
Thank
try
you.
to get through, that's all.
This is taking a little bit longer than it should. I've already asked the chair of the meeting for an additional 3 minutes to conclude my remarks.
Right.
Thank you. So, we're
Hold
back
on.
to
I'm
the...
gonna- Mr. Foley, okay, you asked, I'm going to afford you the opportunity.
Thank you.
But we need to, this is a public comment section, and so finish up all your questions, not
It
back
is-
and
it
forth,
is-
and then we're going to have him
Yeah.
answer your questions, okay?
Yvette, actually, we took 45 seconds on something that I asked 3 seconds.
Okay.
For 3 minutes to extend my remarks. And as we've already proven here on 3 separate occasions, it's not just comments, it's interacting with the town board. It's hearing what the people at the podium have to say, getting responses from the town board so that we can have a better understanding of what you're doing, and maybe you can get an idea every once in a while that will make town governance better for all.
And that's exactly what we want, Mr.
Well, that's
Foley.
wonderful.
Hold on, let me finish, okay? And you can also email us, you can call us, you can send a letter to, sometimes it's good to have conversations beforehand instead of just bringing something new and now we have to research. So in either case, I'm going to forward you the 3 minutes. We shouldn't be going back and forth. And-
Well,
Can you
actually,
finish?
Yvette, as a
Can you
point of order, 4 months ago, I had a conversation about your failure to return 2 of my
Your
phone
claim.
calls.
Your
I'm sorry?
claim. Your claim.
Well, my claim, are you denying the fact
Your
that your
claim.
assistant took 2
Okay,
messages?
let's not go back and forth.
Well, you're
We're
the
here
one
for
that brought it up.
comment section.
As a
Okay?
point of
Why
order.
don't you just call me and we can talk about it?
As a point of order,
Why don't
Yvette.
you give me a call? We can talk about, I call any other board member.
As a point of order, Yvette.
Okay,
I did talk to you up until April, and you did speak to me up until April. And then on an important issue, over a 13-day period, I left a message with your assistant personally and told me you were going to get the message, and it didn't happen. You didn't return the call. So again, this is why I'm here now, because you don't take calls. You don't return
Okay,
emails
you're claiming
on an
it's that
overwhelming
silly
majority of
season
places.
again,
So now
and
let
there
me
we go.
conclude my questions.
Yeah,
Now
would you
that
mind- now
that
that we gave you-
misunderstanding is
okay.
taken care of.
there is no misunderstanding.
Oh,
Proceed.
sure there is.
Please
Yeah, you say
proceed.
we can email and call, and you
Okay.
refuse to return calls or return
Okay,
emails.
can you please proceed?
Sure,
Mr.
absolutely.
Foley?
Absolutely. Just so we understand each other.
Okay, we don't, obviously. Let's go.
Yeah, so Jeff, once again, just to summarize, the online survey, what is the status of that? The Central Advisory Committee, when are they meeting? And the public outreach meetings that, on the deliverable section of the revised contract, call for that to be concluded by, I think it was the end of October. I asked you July the 10th because we have a summer community, if it was possible that we would get one of the first, if not the first, outreach meeting so that our summer residents could participate in that outreach. Thank you in advance for your answers, Jeff.
Okay. Devin, so, okay. Got it. Okay, so you're coming up to answer the responses? Good
yes, I
afternoon,
can.
Jeff. How are you?
Good, how are you? How's everybody?
We're good.
Tim, if you're watching this, I hope you're recovering well.
Yes, and
Yeah, best
unfortunately,
of
we didn't
Tim,
mention
yeah.
that. Tim, we
Yep.
hope you're well. Tim is out with a soldier,
Wherever you are, Tim.
a surgery on his shoulder.
Shoulder.
It's a long meeting, and we wish you well. And hurry back. We want you back with us, and so we can communicate. Although he's on the phone, I speak to him almost every day.
So, Tim, no more yard work for you, okay?
Yeah, we're going to
done.
keep you safe. Thank you for mentioning that, Jeff. Sure.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Mike's comments are very timely. It's been a long time since you've gotten any feedback from the consultants or myself,
Okay.
and this week is going to be a breakout week.
Okay.
I promise you. On Thursday, Bob White, Vice President of AKRF, is coming here to the work session to provide a project update directly to you. At the meeting, Catherine, you asked, I want to say about a month ago, for an update or summary on affordable housing, where we stand today, and he is preparing a report on that, and we will be discussing that on Thursday. On Thursday, we're also going to be going over the launch of the website. It is finally here. On Friday, providing there are no more technical glitches, we're launching the new interactive website with the community. Included with that will be the launching of the townwide community survey. Included as that are the interactive maps. If you saw what we did on the Town Square project with the interactive maps, we're doing that town-wide. You'll be able, the public can click on the map, they can click on, zoom into their hamlet, and zoom onto their street. They can add a comment, they can add what they like, they can add what they don't like. Those comments are then recorded. We're going to keep this interactive maps up for at least through November. It's not just a one and done where we come to a community meeting, we take your comments, and we go and leave. These interactive maps are going to be there for months so that we can get feedback from the public. Also, and the third thing that's going to be on the website, there is ability to enter comments directly to the consultants. You have questions, you have comments, you can email them directly. Next thing we're doing is the launching of the community meetings. We're having, sorry Mike, not 4 community meetings. We're going to be probably starting east and working west in the town. And they're going to be held in Town Hall. We're trying to finalize the dates. We have a lot of people that we need to bring together, the supervisor's office, town staff, and all the different consultants, and we're trying to finalize those dates. We should have those available hopefully within the next few days. The next thing are the breakout groups. Mark, you're on one of them. Frank is going to be on one of them. He doesn't know it yet. There are a series of breakout groups focused on very specific areas and subject matters. For example, environmental. One is on farmland preservation. One is on Route 58 redevelopment. One is on affordable housing and community services. Those will be happening at the conclusion of the 4 community meetings. During this time also, the CAC will be reconvening. We haven't met since, I believe it was February. We've had 2 meetings. It's time that we reconvene that committee and update them on where we are and let them know how the community meetings are progressing. So I think that's a very brief summary as to what we've been doing for the last few months. We had to update the contract. With that, we then had to enter into contracts with GoDaddy. That's going to be the server for the interactive maps. We had problems with them in terms of getting it to function to what we needed it to do. So it's been slow, but we have been moving forward. So again, on Thursday, we're going to be spending a lot of time with Bob White and the consultants and updating all of you.
Okay. So that is some great movement forward, and we look forward to it, and we hope that the public will participate and become fully engaged, because that's the purpose, is to listen to the public, see what they want, see how they feel, and then come up with something that's well accepted across.
And I think everybody's going to be happy with the new website.
Okay.
If you go to the website now, it's a bunch of PDFs of technical information. There's no ability for the public to interact. The new website is totally about public interaction.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, just as a quick follow-up, you had mentioned that the community outreach meetings were going to be in person in Town Hall.
Here, yeah.
Because on the amended contract, it talked about Zoom. So I don't know if this is something that has been amended because you decided to end Zoom meetings?
No, they're going to be hybrid.
It's going to be a hybrid, so people can see it on Zoom and participate in Town Hall.
Yes.
That's exactly the way the town board meeting should be run.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're only following Brookhaven and Southampton also. Anyway, so we're going to move forward. Anybody else want to make a comment? Welcome back.
This is when I had planned to speak rather than earlier.
Oh, okay. How are you?
John McAuliffe, again from the Rollingwood section of Riverhead Town.
That was me. That was me. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Just a couple of quick comments personally, and then I want to ask something on behalf of EPGAO Watch.
Sure.
Personally, I must admit to a certain confusion about the Zoom discussion, because at the beginning you announced that Zoom was going to be used for public meetings and
Public hearings.
public hearings, only hearings. Okay, well, I think we now have at least something of a record that 3 members of the board do not favor hybrid meetings, and 1 member of the board does.
Well, there was 4, because Tim
Yeah, but I'm
wanted to be-
in
he
terms
wanted
of.
to be known,
Sure.
because he knew he couldn't be here. He's out
Okay.
injured.
All right, so
And
4.
we consulted with most of the board, and he said, I want it to be known at the meeting tomorrow where I stand.
Okay.
And Tim is watching, we said what you
Okay, good. All right,
And that was
you make the
confirmed.
point stronger than I, which is it's 4-1, And I hope everybody remembers that when they're voting in November, if they think there should be hybrid meetings, because that's obviously a differentiation between you and other people that are running. The second question is about the vaccinations. I'm very glad to hear that you're doing this extra vaccinations, but I'm still concerned that we don't have a method of finding out the reason for the low vaccination rate, and therefore whether or not this extra vaccination session is going to reach all those people as opposed to other methods that have been proposed. But anyway, that's just a comment, and I hope you take it further into consideration. And I also think that it's important now that people are wearing masks within the board meetings. Not everybody has been, but I hope you will make it clear to people in the future that if they're coming into the room, they should have a mask on until CDC changes this on the Delta. So on the EPCAL watch concern, I'm sure everybody saw in the local today the Article 555 agreement with Brookhaven IDA for Dowling Aviation Campus is terminated for noncompliance. I mean, this seems to me the Brookhaven IDA has taken a aggressive step to protect the interests of the town, and that's an example that I would like to see happen with our IDA. In terms of EPCAL and the Germasians. But I also wanted to ask whether, maybe the story is too new, you've obviously not talked about it, but perhaps at the business session on Thursday you could talk about it, as to what that reflects about the capacity of the Germasians to follow through on EPCAL. I think that's a serious question. I think you approached it with the work session, but frankly, it was a fairly shallow process. There were not very many questions, and certainly not very hard-hitting questions with the Germasians. I would hope that you would consider for a work session inviting in an expert, an outside independent expert on commercial development, on the finances of the Germasians, and have a real source sitting before you that you can discuss, getting beyond their spin. They're very good spin makers. That's what their profession is. They create malls, and malls are a big spin to entertain and engage people. They actually are now saying that their project across from Manhattan is doing well because people are coming for the entertainment. I don't know whether the conclusion they're going to draw from that is they ought to put more entertainment into EPCAL. We have no idea, but the point is that you really shouldn't be depending just on yourselves, but you need to bring in someone in a public discussion who can evaluate. Even if they're a private company, they're people who know what their financial situation is, evaluate what their capacity is, evaluate what all of this spin about development actually means, and what it is, and therefore that you can follow the example of Brookhaven and just say it's over, it's time to get serious, and Riverhead needs to take back its land, protect the 1,000 acres by separating it once and for all from the sold land, and then make a serious effort to get leased or sold parties directly in under the town of Riverhead, where you have much more control over the actual development. So, at any rate, I hope this becomes part of your agenda on Thursday. Thank you.
And Mr. McCullough, I did read the article today. Clearly, Brookhaven took a tough line with all of this. And certainly for me, Mr. Eisler is a good attorney, but I was not comfortable with that, looking for financial documents. I was not happy with the situation where there was a non-disclosure agreement that only Mr. Eisler saw that. Even though he's a good attorney, he's not a financial expert, and I do think we should have a financial expert view that.
I thoroughly agree with that. I mean, I hadn't meant to go into the substance of that work session, but I think that's one of the reasons the work session was a very weak process. I mean, you can't seriously evaluate something that's hidden, and I suspect maybe the reason it's hidden is not that they want to hide it from you, but they want to hide it from the rest of the financial community that would question their seriousness that they'd be willing to put out that potential money for a company that's in such bad shape. But I'm not a specialist in business or real estate, but I think that's where you need an independent expert coming in. I think the dynamics of the attorney for the other side giving such a positive witness about Mr. Eisler at least suggests some complication of what the exact relationship is between. He kept talking about Mr. Eisler as a broker. I didn't think he was a broker. I thought he was there on behalf of the town. And maybe that's a technical meaning of broker that I don't understand, but I think for the board to be responsible to this question, you really need to be responsible, which means bringing in people that can go far beyond what I can say or EPCAL Watch can say or what you yourselves can say. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to come forward for comments? 5 minutes? Barbara Blass, welcome back.
It's nice to be back. Thank
Hi.
you. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Barbara Blass, Jamesport. In an ABC News report back on June 11th, entitled "Long Island Town Slated for Nearly 800 Acres of Solar Panel Farms," a spokesperson for AES said that they had plans for 2 additional projects. I'm sorry, but no, I don't. The article is a bit unclear, and it may be that one of the projects is the now approved Riverhead Solar 2, but are you aware of any other project that AES is planning in Riverhead at this time?
Barbara, this is a comment section, and
Okay,
we're
so
going to
I'll
look
just,
into it. Just give us your comments, and we'll respond at the end. It's a little bit better for, have a lot of questions back and forth.
Okay.
And we can, if the board chooses to answer, or they know, but this is an open meeting, and it's a comment section. So make your comments, and we're going to move forward.
okay. Could you please take into account that time that was just spent on, I'll leave it at that. There is a statement, I'm making the statement that was in the newspaper, and it perhaps would behoove everyone.
Okay, we can move forward. Give us your comments, Barbara. Appreciate it.
Okay. In a statement submitted to this board almost a year ago, that was September of 2020, on a proposed solar moratorium, I expressed the following opinion. It was an opinion. Perhaps it makes planning sense to consider a broader focus of the moratorium to include all industrial zones within the Calverton hamlet, to re-examine the need for such a significant amount of land zoned industrial, and to evaluate the permitted uses within these districts, especially in light of the redevelopment of EPCAL if and when that occurs. The proposed moratorium was tabled for 60 days, but it remains tabled at this time. We are in the process of updating our comprehensive plan, at least on paper, and I'm glad to hear of the advances that Mr. Murphy spoke of earlier. Among other things, consciousness has also been raised about the adequacy of our existing water distribution system and the need to assess the overall carrying capacity of the system to serve current as well as future needs. We have some unresolved issues with the DEC and pending applications before them. And we have residents who are unable to connect to the public water supply that have private contaminated wells. I know Mr. Mancini is working very hard to manage the district town-wide, and together with the town attorney's office has proposed an action plan. But the needs of the district remain a moving target as long as the town continues to accept and process new applications. So as commissioners of the Water District, legislators, and policymakers of this town, this issue does indeed need some focused attention, and ask that perhaps you take the necessary time to do so, and perhaps a short-term moratorium could afford you that focused opportunity. To that end, this Thursday at 7 p.m., the Planning Board is conducting a seeker hearing on the DEIS for HK Ventures. It's that massive 420,964 square foot industrial warehouse distribution facility on 30 acres in Calverton. And I'm going to answer or leave you with a question, and you don't have to answer it, but I'm hoping, or perhaps has anyone been instructed to participate in this hearing or submit written comments on behalf of the town board? You're an involved agency in that application, and this is the time to offer comments on the DEIS. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and attention.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
No, Barbara, I've not been asked, but I certainly would be happy to provide comments on that project. Jeff, did you want to answer that question that Mrs. Blass asked about whether can you just come up and answer as to whether there are other solar projects in the hopper that we're not aware of?
Welcome back.
No. We have no application.
have no
We keep
projects.
hearing speculation throughout the town, not just in the industrial area. We've heard some the eastern half of the town, believe it or not. Very rarely do we say no to people who are proposing any development. In that case, it was flat out, don't even waste your time. So.
Yep.
But no applications are pending at this time, just speculation.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. While you're here, if it's okay, I just had two questions, because you had talked about the master plan.
Sure.
And you had talked about the interactive map. Will the interactive map include current zoning for the residents to review?
That's in a separate section of the website where the zone. Thank you for reminding me. We have new updated zoning maps. Our zoning maps have not been updated in at least 6 or 7 years. They are now, and they're on the website. And you'll be able to click on the map. Right now, if you see the zoning map, it's one very large map. It's very hard to read. We broke them up into 4 sections of the town, and you'll be able to zoom in as close as you want to. So you'll be able to see exactly what your property is zoned for. But you would have to do the cross-reference between looking at the map and then going back to the interactive map. It's not an overlay. It gets too confusing. We have so much data on the interactive map.
Yeah.
And one other question, Jeff, where can the residents review your calendar of deliverables? The deliverables that we're getting in the time frame. Is there somewhere that the residents can view that?
We don't have a calendar of the deliverables.
But we're getting, right.
There's going to be a calendar on the website in terms of when the community meetings are going to be, participation meetings, that sort of thing. But when things are actually due, whenever you have a committee or like the housing element, that's not really a deliverable. You asked for an update, so it's kind of a preliminary draft of what to expect with it, but it's not really a deliverable per se. But it's something that I think is important that you as a board hear as an interim what their initial findings are. So it's hard to say, we're going to deliver this document by this date, this deliverance by this date, because right now a lot of our dates are movable. The community dates, for example, those are movable. The breakout group meetings, those are a movable target. And then after that, there's going to be CAC meetings, the Central Advisory Committee meetings. Then the consultants have to come back and summarize the findings of all the inputs that they've heard from all these different meetings, and then summarize them and present them back to you. So that's not going to happen until the end of this year.
All right, well, if they could just have an update on that, or you could
Sure.
at least update it, because they are
I think what we
paying
need.
for this, and
I think you need
for
a
the public
more.
to be able to know.
I think you need a more timely progress update, and I have one. I just haven't had a chance to get it to you.
And you don't
And I
have,
know things got off kilter, like the schedule got off kilter, that's why I think it's an important thing.
Absolutely.
yeah, and you don't have to give specific dates.
Just target
Basically,
dates.
we're doing this, just a little calendar, and I know that these things are fluid. Things can happen, a storm can happen, and things have to be pushed off, but,
But Catherine, thank you for reminding me. I do have the progress update, and I just haven't gotten it off my desk to you. So I apologize for that.
and we look forward to it. Anyone else? Okay. Anyone? You good?
I'm good.
Good? Okay. So, thank you, everyone, and I hope everyone
Should we
remains
invite
safe.
Frank back in, just to,
No, don't invite Frank back in.
does Frank want to
I
say
was
goodbye?
hoping. And this is going to conclude our meeting for today. Just do remember that August 12th and 13th, We're gonna have vaccinations at the senior center from 10 to 3 p.m., and it looks like we're gonna be able to have walk-ins, anybody can just walk in. But in the meantime, pre-register, I should know by the end of the day or tomorrow, and we'll put that out there. And again, everyone be safe, and can I have a first and a second to close this town board meeting, please?
Just real quick, I hope everybody turns out for the paddle boat race, and the Wading River has Duck Pond Day this weekend.
Yes. And
I'll
Okay,
make that motion to close, and again, thank you to
And a
our
second?
secondary acting supervisor
Okay.
today.
Can you-
Second.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Oh, I didn't realize until there were three of us. I wasn't even looking.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, all in favor, and so moved. Be safe.
I'm getting weepy.